Are you feeling more fulfilled now that you're back to work?
On August 15th.
No. I need a vacation.
See the movie that critics are saying is an awesome,
Look at that.
crowd-pleasing, fist-pumping, all-out brawl of a film.
You're right about that.
They're coming after our family. Go fix this.
Oh, my.
Nobody 2, rated R. Only in theaters August 15th.
Abercrombie's viral denim sale is back, and Spotify listeners get an extra 15% off with code SPOTIFYAF. Abercrombie is known for their denim. With 30 to 50% off all jeans, find out how denim should fit. Shop the viral denim sale in the Abercrombie app, online, or in stores. Valid in stores and online through August 11th, 2025 in U.S. and Canada. Excludes clearance, price reflects discount. Code valid in U.S. and Canada through August 11th, 2025. Exclusions apply. See details online.
War Eagle, and welcome to another edition of Ever to Podcast. This is our regular get-together in an audio podcast format to catch you up on the latest Auburn news, discussion, scuttlebutt, and anything else happening out on social media or out and about when you're with the Auburn family here at E2C Network, where we cover the Auburn experience, which is all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, and Auburn family stuff. If it's orange and blue, it's what we do. So thank you so much for joining us in what we're going to be doing today in episode 49 of Ever to Podcast. Today's date is August 7th, 2025. I'm your host, as always, Kyle Loomis. Here's what we got you on tap for today, or at least what we're planning to get into. Some more Auburn football practice notes, especially since there was a press conference yesterday. We're going to talk about the SEC football special any given Saturday and Auburn's implications on it, and a non-sports related update for someone who's an Auburn alumni, and maybe a few other things along the way. Let's get into all those things right now. Let's start off with Auburn football practice notes, things of significance. We did a few of those yesterday, catching you up from the week that was and bringing you up to speed at that point. Yesterday, they had another practice, and Coach Hugh Freeze spoke in a traditional press conference format where we were able to hear some things, have some questions answered, and things of that nature. We're not going to cover all of those here today, don't have the time to, but we're going to cover probably a few of the more significant things out there. I think one of the things that always comes up in this particular space is injuries. What's the status of the team, especially this time of the year? So here's a few of those things on that. He did note that there is he called it a list of yellow jerseys, but nothing major. So what does that mean? Yellow jerseys are usually guys are marked either for limited or no contact, probably usually no contact because they're either nursing something or just out of precaution for some reason in a no contact. They're running drills, just not cleared to do those types of things. So it's good to hear that there's nothing major, but it did sound like there was he called it a list, quite a few of those bumps and bruises and things like that, which is natural. We're a full week and a half into practice. You're going to have those things when you're finally doing contact drills. And so I wouldn't be super alarmed by that in any way, but just something of note there. More specifically about a few injury updates, we did note, I think maybe even yesterday, that Jeremiah Cobb, who's going to be very prevalent in the running game as we all anticipate, did have a broken finger injury. I believe it was a thumb, but we'll just call it a broken finger injury that happened earlier. He has been finally cleared to participate in drills. And I told you, look, you don't have to worry about those as much. Certainly they're not great, but aside from having to carry the ball a certain way or just be careful with that hand, there are ways that they can secure that and make that to where he can practice in full contact again. He has been cleared to do so, and I'm sure they're still taking a precaution with that. So Jeremiah Cobb will be back in the mix with a lot more reps. But it was great to see, like we talked about, people like Omar Mabson getting more time and being able to make use of that time and get their name out there a little bit. So that was great to see. And this isn't so much an injury, but just been an ongoing story of the roster and health issues. Alex McPherson, people keep asking for updates on him. The last we had officially was quotes from him back in spring, and then some stuff that he shared on social media to say that he was healthy and that his strength was coming back. It appeared to be so based off his post. Coach said today that yesterday, that he looks good to go in all facets, although they're being very, very cautious about what they do with him, given that he has this gastrointestinal issue that certainly can just go out of whack any time and affect his weight, affect his energy, affect his strength, all those types of things. So it looks like all signs are pointing in a positive direction given what he's battling. So I think that's an encouraging sign if you're an Auburn fan and want to see Alex McPherson back out there in full force. It seems to be we're about as close as we ever have been to that, if not fully there already. So that's the injuries and notes of that. There are a lot of other questions about positions and things like that, what players are sticking out, and you can go see a bunch of those out there. Coach did note that the practice yesterday was not great, and he was very open about that and talked about comparing that to their last practice, which I believe was like on Sunday or Monday or something like that. And they had a much better time. They thinks that because they were outside mostly, that the energy probably was down a little bit since they were out in the elements a little bit more than they had been, which is reasonable. But also I'm happy that Coach Hugh Freeze is being very honest about what he is seeing out of practice, and so that they have something to work towards and not setting them up for failure and then saying they're just good all the time and they're good to go. So those are some practice notes, things to think about. Those continue on. If there's anything of significance to talk about before we get back together on Ever to Podcast, we'll certainly jump into that if we need to. Let's move a little bit away from some of the football talk about the practice and talk about SEC football special that came out on Netflix Any Given Saturday. Now, I have not, full disclosure, watched the full thing, so I may have missed some stuff about Auburn in it, but I did really quickly for purposes of trying to be informed about it, because a lot of you were asking on some of our streams and other things that we do about my opinions about it. I did go find the episode, and I forget the episode off the top of my head, but it's Auburn and LSU are the ones that are featured together in that one in kind of a back and forth dynamic. And it tells the story basically of Auburn's big victory over Texas A&M, the 4 overtime win that we were at, a lot of you were at, a lot of you are still reliving. It was a great moment, and how the struggles led up to that point. I thought they did a really good job in a couple of different ways. First of all, the main features of this were Peyton Thorne, Cam Coleman, others as well, but those two really took a prominent place in making the narrative of this story, and then obviously the game itself. And of course, if you've seen the quote from Eugene Asante from last year, which is just an outstanding quote. I don't even know if we read that yesterday, and I intended to do that. So let me see if I can pull that up real quick and read it for you. This is from Eugene Asante talking about last year and the struggles that they had, and they read it on the special. If some of us must suffer this year to understand adversity and show these young kids how to handle it and blossom into something for the next season and establish a true standard of winning ways at Auburn football, so be it. Sign me up. And to add on top of that, he also said, and my joy will come from that service. That'll preach. A lot of our fans need to take on the perspective of Eugene Asante and how they handle adversity. I'll just be honest about that. A lot of people can emulate him, and so he's a great example of that. I thought they did a great job of telling how the struggles were for Peyton Thorne here, but kind of the redemption in some small ways about that final home game and how he was able to put together a pretty great game overall to round out his career in Auburn. And Cam, obviously, as the superstar wide receiver that he takes the center stage there as well. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. We'd love to hear your thoughts on it, anything that we missed, because like we said, we didn't watch the full thing just because of time, but I wanted to at least be a little bit informed on it so that we could talk about it here. I want to talk about all elements of the Auburn experience here, and that includes talking about people who aren't currently at Auburn but are alumni and doing things even outside of sports. Because, folks, some of y'all make football your god, and you got to broaden your experience, folks. There's things to value, and just because we talk about other things, you don't have to relate it back to football. It can just be about something else in the Auburn experience. Sorry, there's a little bit of a soapbox from today. So we made a post talking about yesterday. This is going to be somewhat in the political realm, so keep your politics to yourself. This isn't about politics. This is just about celebrating one of our Auburn alumni. But yesterday, Tim Cook, CEO of Apple, Auburn alumni, and he comes a lot back to Auburn and gives back and is here to support us, so we love that. He announced that he was going to invest, I think it was $600 billion in American manufacturing for 2030. the Apple products that they're going to be obviously putting out to all of us and that we all use quite frequently. So that's a big deal, folks. And look, I know all of you got opinions about what this actually means and what this actually does. Look, just celebrate the fact that an Auburn person is doing some good things and doing some things for our country as well. You may not agree. I don't think probably I agree with Tim Cook on a lot of his politics, but I still see him as a valuable member of the Auburn family. And we do want to celebrate those things when those things come out and they're getting on the big stage some prominence. So I'm happy to have Tim Cook a part of the Auburn family and happy that Auburn has such a heavy influence over Apple and Apple products. Because that's a pretty big company if you weren't aware of, and a pretty big thing here. Most of you are probably on those Apple products right now. All right, maybe just a few things to round out here on the show. Women's tennis did announce their fall schedule very quickly. I'm not going to tell you everything that you're missing, but they're going to be from September to November. This is just the fall, mind you, in Montgomery, Cary, North Carolina. They will be hosting in Auburn October 13th through the 17th, the ITA Southern Regional Championships. And then they'll go to Baton Rouge for the next round of that, and then Orlando, Florida. So Alabama, North Carolina, Florida, Louisiana, these are opportunities for you to come support the ladies in their endeavors in collegiate tennis. So definitely do that. We'll be talking about them more and more in the spring as well when they get into SEC and regular, most people consider regular competition. And yesterday, a follow-up on the note that Cameron King was given a scholarship. There was another one as well that we actually were privy to, and we're just waiting to have an official announcement. I don't think they officially announced it, but one of the reporters did. And so we're just going to run with it here. That was at the press conference. Paul Thompson, who's been here for a while, I believe is a defensive back, he got a scholarship as well. So that was about 4 guys, I think, that coach was wanting to give them to. This is football, by the way, if you didn't know that. And Cameron King got one, and Paul Thompson got one. So shout out to both of them. We love those stories, and we love hearing about them earning what they have very much earned for their service to Auburn and the Auburn football team. I think that's going to wrap us up for the most of things for this week. As we always want to remind you, we don't plan on doing any more the rest of the week, although there was a surprise one last Friday. So make sure you're subscribed. Have those notifications on whatever app you're on so you know when we put you out another episode. The next episode on our podcast feed will be the Auburn Experience, our main show. Austin and I will be back together talking about the full Auburn Experience, probably looking ahead to special teams previews, a little bit of following up on practice stuff this week, basketball schedules, and so much more in the Auburn Experience sports, culture, and family. You can watch it live on YouTube, 9 Eastern time, if you'd like to, and join our Q&A, or just catch the podcast in the regular format. As always, we want to hear from you in direct messages on social media, email e2cnetwork@gmail.com. We appreciate you being here and being part of our little family within the Auburn family. So I'll talk to you again. War Eagle.